Hello and welcome back for another day in the 30 Days of Ableton Audio Effects. Today we'll be looking at Auto Filter audio effect, which is again another extremely useful audio effect that I've used often, and I'm sure others use often as well. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So Auto Filter is Ableton's low pass, high pass filter audio effect and provides analog filter emulation. Basically what this does is it allows you to remove certain frequencies from the outgoing effect. And auto filter is broken up into three main areas: envelope settings over here on the left, filter settings and here in the middle, and then LFO settings. Let's go ahead and look at the first section, which is envelope settings. Let's first look at what auto filter does and what it sounds like. Without auto filter on, I just have an operator here with two voices. And now when we turn auto filter on, at first, since this filter frequency is opened all the way, it sounds the same. But as I start to turn this down and play the signal, you'll hear that the higher end signals are being removed from the outgoing audio. So now let's go ahead and start by looking at envelope settings. This first knob, envelope, defines how much the envelope module affects the filter frequency. So if you play with this, it makes the auto filter more or less aggressive. The attack controls how quickly the envelope affects rising input signals. This can be considered like inertia of the response as the manual puts it. The release controls how fast or slow the envelope responds to falling input signals. Slower release will cause more of a gradual decay of the envelope modulation. Sidechain settings here are under the top arrow and allow for external source to control triggering of the envelope right here. So arguably this is something that I've never really used that much up to this point, but we'll give it an example here of what it sounds like. Is it a long release? Guess you can hear it. It's hard to notice much of a difference there. The middle section is for filter settings. The main display right here, which you can use to drag this around, and it controls the filter frequency and resonance. Resonance being how sharp the resonance is at the top end of the filter or the bottom end of the filter, and the frequency is what frequency the cutoff is at. The quantize button locks the filter to an envelope, an LFO, or manually adjusted modulation. When turned on, the filter changes to be quantized with the beat. So I'm not sure we'll be able to hear it right here. Each numbered box represents a 16th note, much like the delay audio effect that we had the other day. It's the same principle here with 16th notes. So 4 would be one full beat. You can hear how that affects the audio signal here. The filter type box here determines if a low pass, high pass, band pass, or other shapes are used in the auto filter. So you can play with different shapes here. The circuit selector here allows selection of different modulation types of the auto filter. Clean is CPU efficient and also the default setting. These other selections model popular synths. This one looks like it has a drive on it. You can definitely hear a different character there from the different. And then 12 or 24 determines the decimal slope type for harder cutoffs. So that's a more gentler, like band pass 12, band pass 24. You can see the difference there. And over here on the right is the LFO settings. This is the area where you can adjust the LFO for auto filter. Amount determines how much the LFO affects the filter, as you can hear here. And messing with the rate. Oh, we gotta turn quantize off. So you can definitely hear that there. The rate determines the LFO speed, and it can be set to hertz or to a beat. Do have to turn the amount. The shape here determines the shape of the LFO. The first one, which is the sine wave, is smooth and gradual changes, while the square and triangle and sawtooth are more abrupt. You can hear that here. Or kind of on and off. And the phase determines how the LFOs are positioned relative. There's actually two LFOs present. So phase allows you to position those or put them out of phase with each other. The two LFOs are for the left and right channels. So if you move this up to like 180 degrees straight up, that means that both LFOs will be, when one's at the top, the other's at the bottom. You can hear that here. It's almost like a ping pong delay from the other day. This is mainly used for stereo type movement around in the stereo space. These two options for spin or phase provides a slightly different. So it's more of a pulsing in each left-right channel rather than controlling with the phase. Just like a lot of the other audio effects, you can also sidechain this to trigger from an external audio source. And that's about it for the auto filter. It's pretty simple and actually has a lot of functionality behind the scenes as to what it can accomplish. And tomorrow we're going to look at the EQ8 Ableton effect, which is extremely versatile and allows for EQ controls in Ableton with their stock package. Once again, if you want to stay up to date, please subscribe and let me know what I can do to improve these videos. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.